Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. For spoiler-free reviews of newly released films, please check out our channel Reviews Without Remorse on YouTube and VidMe. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show.
And welcome to the city of Hawkins. This is the Master of Dragon's Lair, but you may call me David. And with me is your favorite ego-chomping head of section, Joe.
With the bloody nose and everything.
With the bloody nose and everything. This is episode 48, and in this show we will discuss Black Panther is already breaking box office records with early ticket sales. At this point, Marvel could just do a film version of Ouch My Balls and print money. Deadpool 2 has moved from its June 1st premiere date to May 18th. New owner confidence, or putting it out to die? Star Wars The Last Jedi has a steep drop in box office revenue in China. Schadenfreude will be had for one last time. And then, prepare for our deep dive into Season 2 of Stranger Things, or is it Stranger Things 2?
'Cause we own them.
I waited my entire life for this.
The world's gonna start over.
I'ma burn it all.
What happens now determines what happens to the rest of the world.
Listen, I had confidence in the project, don't get me wrong, but the fact that Black Panther is now like the highest pre-sale tickets like ever, Black Panther,
Yeah.
holy smokes!
I swear to God, I was saying to myself, like, it's almost getting boring talking about how, Marvel's succeeding on every level. And I'm reading the headline, Black Panther is breaking box office records before it's even come out. How is that possible? I'm like, wow. I mean, it's just getting, the trailers look awesome, and I think they're finally, again, they're smart and they're appealing to different demographics with their different heroes. And here you go. Here's an untapped demographic that they seem to, the planets align again. And here we go. I mean, I'm predicting good things from this movie again. I mean, you'd be stupid not to at this point.
Within 24 hours, more than any other movie in the MCU, including the previous best, which was Captain America Civil War, which you figured was going to be a huge box office. I mean, Let's face it, this is a character who's had one movie. That just goes to show you the type of impression. Really. Yeah. That goes to show you the type of impression that the character made on people and how great the trailers have been received by the public.
Yep.
And you're right. It is getting kind of boring to almost be, it kind of feels like every other week it seems like, well, here we are, patting the back of Marvel again, saying, good job, guys.
Seriously, I mean, it's like how many times are we gonna high five Michael Jordan for having the best game he's ever had, or Tiger Woods for having the best golf game, or what? I mean, it's just, it's after a while, it's like, how many times are the Yankees gonna win the World Series? Honestly, I can almost understand people getting kind of anti-Marvel the same way that you got people who don't like the New York Yankees, because they, after a while, it's like you're waiting to see them fall off their perch, and you're getting tired of watching them walk all over everybody. But hey, you know what? They're doing it right, and keep it coming.
Exactly. And honestly, this is no different than like Pixar. Remember how for a while there, Pixar was pretty much untouchable when it came to their movies? And it wasn't until, I would say, Cars 2 was like the first real chink in their armor. The problem right now is Marvel hasn't really had, with the exception of maybe the Iron Fist TV show or the Defenders, but that's not really the same as the movies, so you really can't even say. Until they actually have a seriously bad movie, or one that just feels empty.
Yeah.
This is just going to keep going on. It's a freaking juggernaut.
Come on, Wade. It can't be that bad. Wade, Vanessa loves you. She doesn't care what you low. Oh.
Do you like what you see?
No. You look like an avocado. Had sex with an older, more disgusting avocado.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you gotta do something to remedy this, because as of now, you only have one course of action.
Damn straight. Find
Star
Francis.
in horror films.
What?
Star in your own horror films. Because you look like Freddy Krueger face on a topographical map of Utah.
Well. Literally 2 weeks after Fox was bought by Disney, suddenly Deadpool goes from a release date of June 1st to May 18th. What is up with that?
Now there's something you don't see every day. I can't remember the last time I mean, you've heard of movies getting postponed or pushed forward, but never coming out early.
No. And by the way, for another example, everybody remembers us talking about the New Mutants trailer. Well, guess what? That got moved to 2019. Yeah, so one gets moved to 2019, and the other gets an extra couple of weeks head start, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting sign. It's like, you know,
It's like turning in your term paper early.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, seriously. I'm sure it'll be ready, but I mean, it's a crowded area that they're putting it in. I mean, it's literally in between. May 4th is Avengers Infinity War, and then you've got May 18th for Deadpool, and then May 25th for Han Solo, a Star Wars story. It's like Disney's trying to corner the damn market. I'm hoping this is a good sign. I mean, yes, sure. They lost their writer and their original writer and director. They have a whole new guy going on here, but yeah, I'm pretty confident. You know what's even funnier? I'm confident in this movie, and what have we really seen of it?
We've seen the Bob Ross painting.
We've seen the Bob Ross painting and a handful of quick shots. That's it.
Not much. Yeah. But yeah, you know, again, the last one was so good. This sort of falls into how I felt about the original Stranger Things. I said, you know what? When the first one is that good, I don't even need it to exceed expectations. I just want more of what we got. So as long as it's up there in the same general area, I'm going to be happy with it.
I agreed. I hope so. I have confidence. I think that Ryan Reynolds, this has been his passion project for as long as, you know, as long as he's been, ever since the Wolverine movie, ever since Wolverine or X-Men Origins Wolverine. This was his passion project. So this character means a lot to him, and I don't see him betraying the character in any way, shape, or form. I think this is, I think this is his baby.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally agree with that. I think as long as he and certain other people are involved, we should be all right. You know,
I hope so.
Again, the fact that they're putting it out a little early, that it's almost like they're chomping at the bit to get this out. And it's like that's got to be a good sign.
Go for Papa Palpatine.
You have a collect call from
Darth Vader.
I gotta take this. Hold on. Vader, how's my favorite Sith? Whoa. Just slow down. Huh? What do you mean they blew up the Death Star? Oh! Who's they? What the hell is an aluminum falcon?
Okay, first off, I just want to get this off my chest. I have been listening to the last couple of podcasts, and brother, we've been savaging Last Jedi, like, pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna call this the last gasp of our mention of Last Jedi. I feel like we're spending much more energy on this movie than it really deserves, and we should be refocusing towards the good things that we have coming this year. So this is it. This is the last time we're going to kick the dead horse that is Last Jedi. With that aside, Last Jedi completely underperformed in the China box office, where when The Force Awakens came out, it did huge money. Literally half the amount of money that Force Awakens made, that's what Last Jedi made. China is a huge market, man.
It is a huge market. And what was the percentage of the drop-off like the second week? I mean, it was gigantic. It was almost like the word was out and people just stopped going.
And let's see here. First weekend, it made $28 million. The second week, 70% drop-off.
Yeah.
70%.
That's massive.
Yeah. Yes.
And what is the lesson here? I don't think China likes being pandered to, and frankly, the inclusion of the new character, whatever her name was, Meg or whatever it was.
Or you mean Rose?
Rose, yeah.
Yeah.
From what I heard, like they introduce a lot of Asian characters because they're appealing to the Asian markets. Mm-hmm. But apparently, she's not Chinese; she's Vietnamese.
Right.
So I think that was one of the things that made them kind of go, like, guys, if you're going to pander, do it right. But the other thing is, I don't think they, well, again, not to get on any particular bandwagon, but I just don't think, how am I going to say this?
Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one to edit. Go on.
The sensibilities of today's filmmakers over at Lucasfilm, I don't think China does not feel like they need to be lectured to. And if I had to sum up the reaction that I feel that would be it. You can go talk down to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, hail and farewell, Last Jedi. There's going to be a part 9. We're probably going to be there. Neither one of us, we're both going to be walking in there like we're walking in for our execution, but there it is.
I will be very curious to see, like a lot of things, what will happen. Will they learn their lesson? Will they realize that this was not the way to go? I mean, again, this was the guy who, after firing many directors, they were going to give him a trilogy. And
right.
after
They're
the
still giving him a
backlash,
trilogy.
well, I guess, but I'm at this point anyway. But I'm curious to know if after the backlash, if they're willing to invest that much time, energy, money, to give him the freedom to write and direct. After all this, I'd be surprised if they keep going forward the way they're going.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there, man, because honestly, yeah, sure, there was an audience backlash, but this isn't like Batman v Superman levels. Batman v Superman not only had audience backlash, but it had critical backlash. This movie is a critical darling. It's sitting at like 90%.
But the critics are not the ones who are going to buy the toys. Again, critically is one thing, but the other score, that 54% or whatever it was at the last time I noticed, those are the people buying the tickets and buying the T-shirts and buying the stuff. And again, if your Asian market, which is humongous, drops off that badly, I don't think Disney's going to stand back and just watch that happen. So, again, I think it's very much on the levels of Batman v Superman, frankly, because the bottom line is the dollars and cents. Think about how bad Justice League did. Because Justice League was after, you had Batman v Superman, right?
Right.
And that was, to me, like after that one and Suicide Squad, I don't think anybody else, you can't fool people that many times.
Yeah.
So they saw those and they're like, you know what? And even after Wonder Woman, it still tanked. Because they knew that this one was much, it looked much more in line with Batman v Superman. They said, we're not going. So imagine now you got the people they've seen Last Jedi. They know now what this franchise is all about, and it's not about what we wanted. And does that sell tickets? Well, apparently China loud and clear said, nope, it sure don't. And frankly, the people in America who went were the ones who were just it really hadn't even sunken in yet by the second weekend, but we still had a drop off here. Not a massive drop off like that one. It wasn't as bad as China, but the drop off here was pretty significant as well. Yeah. So, listen, as far as I'm concerned, you're talking about a Justice League mindset going into the next one.
All right, I'll grant you that. And you know what? Time will
by the
tell.
way, throw in Han Solo, which already they're talking about that being dead on arrival as well.
Already?
There is a lot of bad... Yeah, the rumor mill around Solo is not good. And basically, again, apparently the guy can't act. They got lessons for acting lessons and
really? I hadn't heard that.
Oh really? Oh yeah.
No.
The guy was so bad they brought in like an acting coach and a dialect. I think they tried to call it something else, but it's basically just an acting coach. Again, you're talking about a fire director there. Ron Howard scrambling to do something with it, and this movie it's not that far off. We have not seen anything with regards to a trailer, not even like promo shots, nothing. So yeah, this one it's not looking good. So again, throw that into that mix, and I'm saying to myself, somebody over at Disney is going to have a little talk with Kathleen Kennedy and say, look, you got to straighten out your house here.
Get your shit together.
Put it this way. You know how you've been sort of nervous about Disney acquiring all the Marvel properties and X-Men and Deadpool and nervous about them sticking their noses in? We might not get another Logan or another great Deadpool because Disney now owns these properties.
Right.
My feeling is that they'll probably keep their noses out of it as long as these things perform.
Yeah.
They'll say, look, we're not crazy about the F-bombs and the violence, but look, we'll just call you a different branch of, and we'll distance ourselves. As long as you keep bringing in the paychecks, we'll let you do it. If Last Jedi performed, then Disney would continue to just look the other way and say, you guys do what you want to do. Yeah. But if it gets this bad, then you might have Disney stepping in saying, what's wrong over here? And how are we going to fix this? So, yeah, I wonder now if there's going to be a course correct. In fact, I'll even say this. I'm going to go on the record and saying I believe you're going to see some sort of a course correction. I don't see Rian Johnson going out and doing his trilogy unbothered, unfettered by anything. I think there's going to be some sort of a correction after this.
All right, I take that bet. I will take that bet.
I don't know what form it'll take, but I think there's going to be something.
I shall take that bet. I welcome the challenge.
There you go.
On Halloween night, Will saw a sort of shadow. Maybe all of this is happening for a reason.
These are not nightmares. It's happening. And it all leads back to here.
It's Halloween, and not everything is well. Will is back, but having strange visions. Eleven is missing, and Mike hasn't given up finding her. And some new arrivals bring new challenges to the town of Hawkins. Created by Matt and Ross Duffer, also known as the Duffer Brothers, Stranger Things 2.
There you go. Stranger Things Season 2 or Stranger Things 2? I think we'll go with...
I'm going to go with Stranger Things 2 because not only did the trailer say Stranger Things 2, but I think that by the end of this episode, people will agree with us in our feeling that we're not watching a TV show. This is a long-form movie. And each season is the first movie, and this is the second movie.
I will absolutely agree with you. I think this does feel more like a... I like that term you're using, the long-form movie. It definitely does feel like that. There is one exception, though. I think there is sort of one exception in this series that we'll get to that does make it feel a little bit more like a TV show. But even there, I think they seem to just be able to tap into the best of both worlds, where
Yes.
you take the all the greatness of doing a one film. You take one film that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But again, they're allowed to play in that playground enough to flesh out characters and to go down certain alleys and explore different things the way a regular film can't. But at the end of the day, again, it's like I said, it's the best of both worlds. It's the best of a TV series and the best of a film that has the luxury of taking its time telling its story.
Yeah, something that most films nowadays can't. You have like 2.5 hours at best to make your characters sympathetic, to understand their motivations, to turn their lives upside down, and then to resolve all of that. That's, you used to say to yourself, my God, 2.5 hours, that's plenty of time. And then you had a show like The Wire come along, and it started the long-form TV show format that was pretty much perfected by The Sopranos. And then The Sopranos juggernaut grew into things like Breaking Bad and to maybe to a lesser extent Better Call Saul, Homicide. There's a lot of different television shows that benefited from that, and I think it changed the medium. I really think that it was stuff like that changed the medium of television shows. Television shows were starting to slowly sink into this wasteland of reality and situation comedies and canned laughter and stuff like that, and their dramas were always these little... The best you could hope for from a drama was like an ER, and ER was not a terrible show, but each show was basically a bottle episode. What came before and stuff like that wasn't really as important. But nowadays there is a focus, at least from an artist standpoint, there is a focus on a show to truly trust their audience is watching and is understanding. You know what? I'm sorry. I said The Wire. Maybe I should actually go back further. Maybe what I should mention is The X-Files, because The X-Files was really one of the first shows that tried to combine a long-form story that would take a season to play out with these little interludes in between, only slightly adding to the mystery until the end of the payoff. So maybe really The X-Files is sort of the secret origin of this type of format.
Yeah, I think it's been around in different forms. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's only recently that they've really sort of perfected it. And frankly, what I think we can thank is the streaming services, your Netflix 100%. And your Hulus and your Amazon Primes or whatever. That I think sort of gave us the idea that people will sit and binge watch a show. I mean, you never heard the term binge watching until the last few years.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the reasons why now you have a series like this, where you can tell something that would have been like a 2-hour movie now told over the course of 8 hours, I suppose. I mean, 8 hours. It's almost like a miniseries.
Yeah,
like, what used to be like a miniseries in the old days. I think it's absolutely terrific, and the things they can do now because they have that flexibility is great. I mean, you can get good. I mean, in a lot of movies, and again, in a 2-hour movie, you have to sometimes truncate a lot of things into a couple sentences. You're trying to show instead of tell, so you're not going to sit there and just sort of recite, but you'll have to move things quickly. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes in a couple sentences, you got to sort of bang out what's been look at Thor Ragnarok. You know, in the first 10 minutes, we got to get through where Odin is and what happened to Jane Foster and all this other stuff, and, you know, to get the show on the road. Here, you could take some time, and again, it feels more realistic. It feels more grounded because, again, real life takes time.
Agreed. I there's not a possible way in hell that I can disagree with that assessment. You're right on the money when it comes to it. This is the new medium, and I think that to some people it scares them. There's been a lot of talk. There's been talk about how film festivals, refuse to accept Netflix films as consideration for anything, because although it's a TV show, it's like, well. Are we starting to see the thin line between TV and movies and stuff like that? Why? Because we didn't go to a palace to watch in a crowded place with a bunch of screaming people who insist on texting in the middle of the movies or shouting at the screen?
Because they didn't pay $12 to sit there and be annoyed by...
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's that's the other part of the equation is that the cinemas are struggling now because, again, for the reasons you said. I mean, it's getting to where... I can watch something now on my gigantic 4K TV with surround sound in the comfort of my home, as opposed to schlepping out and being annoyed by all the people around you and stuff. It's.
Yeah. You can you can order Chinese food and watch the damn show.
Right. As opposed to paying $20 for popcorn and a soda and a Twizzler.
Right. Right. And God forbid, oh my goodness, I have to go to the bathroom, but it's coming up to a key scene, so I'm going to cause myself kidney damage rather than go to the bathroom.
Right.
One of the biggest reasons we love this show is because of the way that the medium has complemented it. This show could not exist without this type of medium to complement it. So now that we have gotten the complementing of the media out of the way, let's get talking about the show.
Let's get to it.
So, when last we left the boys, Will was back. It was Christmas, and everybody was happy and celebrating. 11 was gone, but Hopper was leaving like little love things for her, little bits of food and a bunch of Egos, try to haul her out. Joe, I'm sorry, I call him Joe, but Steve, Nancy, we're back together again. I call him Joe because man, if you ever see the guy who plays Steve in real life, everybody loves him and has nothing but the nicest things to say about the guy. So I just, for a while there, I've just been in my head calling him Joe, his real name. It's been really killing me. Jonathan got himself a new camera, courtesy of Steve, as part of his redemption process. That's where he left off. Okay. Oh, and did I mention that Will every once in a while is still seeing the Upside Down?
Yeah, and coughing up little slugs.
Oh, that little slug.
Which I think we may or may not see in season 2, but we'll get to that.
Oh, I think we did see him. We absolutely positively did see him. That totally was Dustin's pet.
You think so? I don't see why not, but I kind of felt like, I don't know, why would it end up in Dustin's garbage can?
It's hard. You know what? If we
put it this way, the demi-dogs were running around all over the place, so why... There was nothing really specifically to connect those two.
No, but it's just a personal mental connection I made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, the idea is that probably Will's sicked up a bunch of these things, and that's why the Demodogs have been, running around rampant. And this one just happened to find Dustin. But I like to say to myself, no, you know what? That's the one that came out of Will's mouth. Yeah. I don't know why. I'm just going to say it. Well, actually, you know what? We can't. Well, first of all, any of them probably came out of his mouth. But now that I think about it, since the one that they showed at the end of season 1 happened around Christmas time, and they grow relatively fast, no, that had to be like a fresher one. All right, fine, you got me there.
Well, I don't mean to. I like the theory, but yeah. But anyway, go ahead. Like, where the story opens.
The story opens with the kids, and God, I'm sorry. I was just giggling my little head off. The kids basically going through their house, reaching under the pillows in the
couch
in
cushions.
the couches and everything like that. And it's like, I got this much, all to go to the damn arcade with all the quarters they found to play Dragon's Lair. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it was a memorable moment, but it was such a nice one.
They do a great job getting back to where we were in the early mid 80s and stuff, and it really is terrific. I mean, I almost feel like that's one of the great things about this series is like when they get to Stranger Things 2, when they start talking about 1985, I'm gonna be like, oh, like I can remember like what I was listening to, what I was watching, So yeah, they kind of I liked it. Yeah, the Dragon's Lair was great because I thought I specifically remember that game, how irritating it was, how hard it was.
Oh God, yes. My kid loves that game too. He played. He does. He loves it. He used to play it all the time. He hasn't. Welcome to the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen. That game, when it came in the arcade, was state of the art. It now can be played on my son's iPad. and in full graphic fidelity, it looks exactly like the arcade.
Jeez, I'll have to look for it.
Oh no, yeah, seriously, man, do that. You will be both. It's only like $5 too. You'll be pleasantly surprised and like horrified at the same time.
Who is that? I have no idea. Would you check out that ass?
So we get a lot of new characters also. It opens up. The kids are more or less doing what kids do in the 80s. They're at the arcade or whatever. But then we start getting new characters, and I got mixed feelings about the characters, but...
All right, well, let's see if we can go through these new characters one by one. We have Max.
Mad Max.
Yes, that's how she signed her high score. Bless her for that.
Yep.
You have Max's brother, for whatever reason's name I can't remember.
Billy.
Billy, was it Billy?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Billy Hargrove. I'm sorry. Who, shall we say, first 5 episodes of the first season, Steve 2.0?
Yeah, kind of Steve to the next level. I kind of had mixed feelings with him because first of all, I want to say this because I like to start positive. Mm-hmm. Casting was perfect, and I kind of thought like he looked like somebody who was right out of the 80s, like perfectly. Like I mean, he actually reminded. I think there was a guy. Was it Rob? I think there was a Chad Lowe. Like I think it was Rob Lowe's brother or something.
Yeah, it kind of did give that vibe, didn't it?
Right, who was popular in the 80s, and he kind of just sort of went away, but he kind of had that vibe to him. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd buy that for $1.
Like Chad Lowe and like Leif Garrett, rolled up into one. There's a name probably nobody's ever gonna remember, but
Get off my lawn.
Google it, kids.
And he's interesting, fine, but I kind of just sort of it was again it was one of the criticisms I had of the first season, where like Steve was hanging around with the kids who were just jerks because they're just like mustache twisting villains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this guy just takes it to the next level where he's just mean for the sake of mean. I mean, they do. I mean, the show is good. The show always does. They do give you that Stephen King kind of. They'll show you why the bad guy is so bad, but still, I don't know if it justifies everything. I mean, he's just a bad seed, and they want you. I mean, I guess you have to have somebody who's a villain, but again, he doesn't really contribute much of anything in this series, and frankly, it's almost like the whole series is really leading up to some kind of confrontation with him, and Steve, I suppose. But again, it's like, but what for what?
I don't know.
I kind of really felt it was really sort of superfluous. Like it didn't really add anything to it. It was like this element that was always floating out there that didn't really do much. But
you know what, dude? I can see where you're coming from. I don't completely agree. I think that that is what he is. He is set up. And they left so many hints. They left hints that maybe this guy is got a identity problem and he's overcompensating it with being the jerk that he is. I mean, think of it this way. How many scenes of them where like it's just him and Steve and he's checking Steve out. Okay?
Like
this
constantly,
yeah. Yeah, this isn't hi, I'm better than you. This is damn. Okay, and this is the 80s. This is not the accepting time frame of people being gay, especially at that young age. So I like that. I like that it feels like we're getting kind of a thing here, and that he's the type of manipulative little bastard that's gonna use whatever he has in order to get what he wants. Like when he runs into Karen, when he runs into Mike's mother, and he like basically, what, dude? You know what's funny? Like, I love the acting in that scene because it both seemed like sincere flirting between the two of them, and yet the directors did such a great job of just having it be this like light coat of slime over it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't. I didn't think it was a light coat. I thought it was a very thick slathering of slime. That was a very cringy kind of moment, if you ask me.
Right, but you know what? You have to give it up for the actor. You know, this could seem like a two-dimensional part on the outside simply because he's just such a jerk. But I feel like there's nuance within his way that he plays the character and the way that he presents himself, leading up to when his father like basically grabs him by the throat and says, "Find your sister," when everybody's out going for the big finale. I feel like this is a character that's going to bloom in season 3. And I hope it's a good bloom. I hope it's the holy shoot, this is a freaking amazing villain, and not, oh my god, how two-dimensional. So you're right. It has that potential to go either way. But
yeah, well, I mean, you could be right again, but like I've said in The Force Awakens, what may or may not come to fruition in the next chapter, that's for another day. And right now, we're just dealing with what we've got here. I feel in season 1, it honestly felt like everything that was happening was sort of focused on the same story. Even characters as out there as like Barb and Steve Harrington and whoever, they were never sort of like really out in the peripherals. They were all sort of related to the story at hand. And it was the boys and 11. And, again, they're all there for the same thing, to find Will and whatever.
Right.
And it all it was different things, but it was all tangled in the same ball of yarn. Here again, I just sort of felt like, the introduction of Billy and Max, it was like, okay, well, we need new characters, I guess, because it's a new season, so we have to do new things. But in the end, I kind of felt like they were all there just to sort of serve a very on the nose kind of a purpose where we need conflict again. And it was almost like a little too on the nose where, again, you had in the first season, 11 shows up and it kind of starts to ruin the friendship between the two leads and
between Lucas and Mike.
Yeah. And again, I said last time, I said, Lucas, again, on one hand, he's sort of got the, he's, in many cases, he's the voice of reason, but in other ways, it sort of comes off as just being threatened because she's stealing Mike away from him, and that's his best pal. And again, now here, Max shows up, and now suddenly it's Mike who doesn't like Max all of a sudden, which I thought was kind of a little weird. It was almost like it was too much of trying to replicate the tension of the first season by throwing, again, now there's a girl in here who kind of mucks up the works, but now here's Mike, who seemed pretty smart and level-headed in the first one. Now he just sort of Mike sort of gets, I think he sort of gets lost in the shuffle in this season, frankly. You
know what? I was going to say that. You're right. He does. He doesn't have as much of the focus this season as the rest of the characters.
Yeah.
And I'm chalking that up to probably a scheduled conflict with also him doing It. He probably wasn't as available as he was for the first season. And I hope that they rectify it because I like the character of Mike. But yeah, he did. He took a back seat to everybody else's story this season.
Yeah.
Much to the benefit of all the other characters. It's nice for the other characters to get... Like Will, what did we really know about Will in the first season? We learned a lot about Will this season, and I thought it was necessary for us to actually get to know this character that we were looking for the entire first season.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's an interesting point about It, that maybe he was off doing that, but I just sort of felt like they were trying to, that Mike got a lot of the spotlight in the first one, so now they want everybody else to get a little time in the sun. So we're going to explore, the other guys. Yeah, I mean, all good points. And again, I just felt like, I guess in trying to explore the other characters, again, like Max has to come along and sort of be the soundboard for a lot of things. And I mean, again, we spent a lot of the season not telling Max this, not telling Max that, to finally telling her what happened for season 1. And I don't know. Like I said, it just seemed like a lot of filler. As opposed to the first one, the first one again, just I felt like it was so concentrated on the story at hand, on on what we're doing here and everything. Everything just seemed to be related, and here it just seems like we're on a lot of side roads, and a lot of it didn't really lend itself. I mean, I guess it kind of comes together at the end. I guess Max sort of finally does realize, oh my God, they're telling me the truth, and now she's involved in everything, and. So okay, but then it becomes a case of like, but do I like this character enough even now that she's here? And I kind of felt like she was just okay.
I don't have a lot of complaint about the character. I don't think she got a very good introduction, and I think that the characterization was at first a little too two-dimensional. I don't think she, that whole scene with her and Mike where she was trying to show, look, I could skateboard, blah 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 blah. That just felt very forced. I agree with you on that. It just kind of felt like that doesn't. I don't know why it didn't settle well with me. It's like what are you doing? It's like, is this just so 11 can see them together and she can knock her off the skateboard with her powers? Because if that's all it was, that's kind of silly to do that. I don't know. I think they could have done that. Hey, let me be part of the team routine a little bit differently. I don't blame the actress because as the season progressed, the actress became much more comfortable in the part, and I thought actually made a decent addition to the team. But it took a while to get there, and it didn't really get there in a completely organic way. It just kind of felt like, okay, and now you have to be this. Okay, and now you have to be that. And now you're a part of the team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, even the ending, I thought, I think it was, I don't know if it was the second to last or the very last episode when 11 finally shows up. Mm-hmm. And she walks in, and then, of course, now Max is like, is that the one you've been talking about? Yes, it is. She walks up and puts her hand out and says, hi, 11, I'm Max. Nice to meet you. And 11 brushes past her. Yeah. And I remember thinking, like, again, and that was sort of like, yeah, I don't know. Like, that was a little too on the nose, kind of, well, women are jealous of this, and we're jealous of that. And again, because she saw her one time talking to Mike. Yeah, that's again, little Three's Company-ish.
Hopefully, it's either brushed past by the time the third season comes. Because honestly, if the third season is spent with 11 giving Max the stink eye for like the first 5 episodes, I'll agree with you. That will just be, come on, could we move on, please?
Right.
Even when we were young and dumb and stupid and all that other stuff, I don't think either one of us would have endured that type of stupidity amongst a friend.
Probably, yeah. I mean, again, I mean, like Mike is obviously very, very into 11. So again, why she's gonna, this girl's again, and this girl, I don't think she said 2 words to Mike the entire time. So of course, seriously. Like there's like 11, escapes, goes to check out Mike, and it's the one time where he's actually got 2 words to say to this girl. So of course, like I said, I mean, that was a misunderstanding, and like I said, it just kind of felt a little Three's Company-ish. It's not why I'm here for this show. I mean, this is Stranger Things. I don't need that sort of stuff with this. And I'm not, and I don't mean to spend a lot of time bagging on it because it was a minor quibble. But
honestly, it's probably the most quibble I've got with this season, frankly.
Yeah. I thought the other stuff with Hopper taking care of 11.
Yes.
Now, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was, I liked how that sort of evolved.
You put us in danger. You realize that, right?
You promised I'd go, and I never leave. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah, nothing happens, and you stay safe.
You lie.
I don't lie. I protect, and I feed, and I teach. And all I ask of you is that you follow 3 simple rules. 3 rules. And you know what? You can't even do that!
They had great chemistry, the two of them, didn't they? They really
did.
Worked well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, there was also parts where I thought that was maybe getting it was going a little too far. And I mean, at some point she's slipping out and throwing stuff at Hopper.
Right.
I mean, I think at that point, I mean, and God bless Hopper. I mean, this poor guy, he's getting it from everybody this season. He's really getting the shaft all over the place. 11's screaming at him, then at the last episode, Mike starts teeing off on him. I mean, he's getting trapped by the things underground. I'm like, this poor guy's getting it just from all over the place now,
and getting some weird white stuff spat on him.
Right, yeah. I mean, which looked really foul, I mean, at one point, like, 11 is, like, just flipping out and wrecking everything. I mean, I think at some point, like, if I was me, I'd be like, hey, 11, you are not a prisoner here. If you would like to leave, you can leave. But you're going to get captured again. And probably killed and probably whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was really good because I could sympathize with her as well, too, by the way. I was very much sympathizing with both sides, which is good. And that's the cornerstone of, a good conflict.
Yeah, I kind of bought it because he sees 11 as the surrogate for the daughter that he lost. So I didn't have a problem with it. And frankly, their scenes together were just so great that even the impossibility of the patience that it would take to deal with something like that, I can kind of let go. And I feel that they mostly got it right. I won't say that they always got it right, but I feel mostly they did a good job.
I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I mean, again, I think this was a great follow-up. This is a terrific follow-up. Again, it's very easy to spot things that are a little different and to talk about it. But again, as much as we're talking about the things that I found a little different or a little not quite as good as the first, we're still talking about a solid follow-up.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
A very enjoyable 9 episodes.
I talked to a Big Buy ex-employee who said some little girl shattered the door with her mind.
I heard that story. Did you hear the one about the fat man with the beard who climbs down chimneys?
Well, since we're still talking about the new characters, we've got Murray Bauman, the conspiracy theory guy.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
He was definitely an interesting character, but he was nothing more than just a means to an end to move the story along. He was there to give Nancy and Jonathan something to do.
Yes, I think that is also very true, and it's interesting too because I felt like that whole storyline was a lot of it had I think that was a big response to the people who joked about how Barb really got the shaft in the first season.
What the f***? You forget about something? You forget about old Barb? Nancy's friend? Sitting on the diving board? Trapped in the upside down for the past 2 months?
All right, Barb.
Nah.
And I think this was sort of a response to that a little bit. But I mean, I thought that was really well done because again,
I agree, yeah.
If the parents don't know what happened to Barb, this is probably what they're going to do. They're probably going to be, they're going to hire private detectives to find her and whatever. And I can see them being frustrated with the sheriff who knows exactly what happened to Barb, but hasn't I hate to tell you this, but your daughter was brought into an alternate dimension and killed by whatever. What? So I could totally understand that they're never going to know what really happened. And that puts Nancy in a really difficult position. So I really sympathize with that. And the idea that she'd still have to go to visit with Barb's parents for dinner and just feeling like this is like root canal having to do this and then hearing them talk about how we still believe our daughter's out there. We're gonna mortgage our house to pay for the person. And I could totally see her being like, oh my God, this is too much. I can't let these poor people go on like this. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That was pretty well done. And yeah, the character of the conspiracy guy, he was good. And I also found him very well written because he struck me as somebody who was like, not so much a journalist, but more like a college professor who wanted to be a journalist. You know what I mean? Like I kind of feel like I knew college professors who were like that. And they really fancy themselves as being pretty sharp and being able to read people and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was pretty clever and pretty well done. I'm not sure if I really was into the idea that the two were going to end up together.
Jonathan and Nancy, you mean?
Yeah, I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, Jonathan to me is not a good-looking kid, for one thing. Not that should matter a lot, but I see the two of them as being like good friends who are in, they're in this situation together, so I can understand how they get along and whatever. romantically, I don't know. I never really got that from the first season. So, okay.
I don't think they really do have a lot of chemistry either, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I get the fantasy wish fulfillment of the writers for wanting that and stuff like that, but if we're talking long term, I don't really see it.
Yeah.
Although it did give the ultimate funny joke of,
So, Jonathan, how was the pullout?
I'm sorry.
I have to admit, I laughed pretty hard at that. Yeah.
the actor was fine in the part. I have no complaints about the character, and yes, he was basically just to give them something to do, but in a way it worked. So I have no complaints.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. And as long as we're talking about new characters, we also had two other ones I thought were terrific.
Okay, well, one of them is Dr. Sam Owens, played by Paul Reiser.
Yep. And I really thought he nailed that part. And again,
I do too. Thank you so much.
I thought he was so well written, by the way. Like, I thought, again, now that to me was a great example of writers who were not just here to move dialogue forward or move the plot forward. I mean, his dialogue was really snappy and really, really well done.
Right.
And again, he's a character, as soon as you see him, you're assuming he's going to be this creep that you're going to hate. Oh, he's going to end up being the weasel, and we're not going to like him by the end.
Dr. Brenner 2.0.
Right, exactly, yeah. Aliens all over again, right. But I thought he was terrific in this. He was very good, great performance, and I enjoyed the character very much. Yeah. A character who was easily disposable, easily could have been written off as just, like I said, just a creep. But no, they really gave him some depth and complexity, and again, and having to deal with both sides of, again, he's in these meetings where one guy says something about like, look, we have to stop this, and if the kid dies, the kid dies. And I love when he turns around and goes, say that again. Like, I thought that was say it to me again. Like, I mean, he really was, he was great there. I thought he was really good.
I love the fact that it wasn't just completely mustache twirling bad guy thing.
Exactly.
It was just,
right.
It was just so nuanced, and obviously a person he's doing his job, but he's still a compassionate human being.
Exactly. I almost feel like all the complaining I did in the first part of this, discussing Billy, saying how he seemed to me like a one-dimensional villain. This is the opposite side of the coin, where now we get a character who is not one-sided. He's very, very nuanced, like you said.
Yeah, agreed. And Paul Reiser just played the ever-living hell out of him. And
he's really good. He's a very good actor.
That little scene at the end where he's basically helping Hopper to cover up for 11 was awesome.
Right.
Awesome. And earned. It wasn't even one of those things that just kind of came out of nowhere. It's like, I'm now the good guy. I felt like that as the season progressed, you felt like this character earned that point.
Yes, right. And you're watching him make decisions and come to every crossroads along the way. Absolutely. I thought really, really well done.
So kudos to you, Mr. Reiser, and I hope you're back for season 3.
Absolutely. And how about the other one? Our other throwback from the 80s who shows up?
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Newby by Mr. Sean Astin.
Did I ever tell you about Mr. Baldo?
Mr. Baldo?
Yeah. I was a little younger than you, standing in line for the Ferris wheel at the Rowan County Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, I feel this fat white glove tap me on the shoulder. I spin around, and there he is, Mr. Baldo.
Hey, kiddo, would you like a balloon?
Go ahead, laugh. It's funny. It wasn't funny back then, I can tell you that.
Bob the Brain.
Bob the superhero.
Yeah. I'd say another one who he was terrific in this too. And he was great because you feel like people just like that, or like everybody knows a Bob, So yeah, he was great and not one dimensional, but just he was so simple. Like, he's just a regular guy. Nothing hidden in his back pocket. He was who he was, and it was great. It was nice to see Joyce with somebody, after all the crap in the first season. So to see her, with a sort of a boyfriend in this one was great.
And who seemed to make her genuinely happy, too.
Right. And he's a genuinely nice guy who just wants to make her happy and just wants to get along with the kids, And again, he's not trying to push himself, oh, I'm your new father. No, he's just that nice guy who, is nice to the kids. And,
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I thought he was another one who could have very easily have been a pretty disposable character. Maybe you saw him in the first couple episodes and they just sort of vanishes or whatever. Or there was a point where I was starting to wonder, the episode where he's talking to Will and saying,
I couldn't get him out of my head. Every night he'd come to me in my dreams, and every night when he came to me, I ran. It went on like that for months, and then one day the nightmares suddenly stopped. Want to know how? Well, I fell asleep, and just like always, Mr. Baldo came to me. Only this time I didn't run. This time, I stood my ground. I just looked at Mr. Baldo and his stupid face, and I said, go away. Go away!
So Will acts on that and takes his advice and turns and starts yelling at the big monster, go away, but the thing gets him. Yeah. I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, now maybe Bob's not such a good guy. Maybe he had a reason to say what he said. So I was sort of psyching myself up for that, too. But again, no, it really was not. It was a well-intentioned comment that just backfired or whatever. But, so yeah, I thought he was great. And then, of course, at the end, I mean, he really, in every way, I loved the part where, again, he comes to the house with a bunch of games. And he's like, what's going on? I'm here. I can help. And she's like, no, go away. But then, like, he says something like, well, that's why they call me Bob the Brain. So she, wait a second. When she drags him in the house again to see all the stuff that was written on the the tunnels that was all over the house.
Right.
And of course, he's looking at it going like, huh? And it's funny because I love how that plays out because she's just like, Don't ask any questions. Just look at this and tell me if any of it means anything to you, whatever. And he's going like, and again, I love it because he is just sort of from the point of view of like, I guess they're doing a game. Just at the moment where he's like, this makes no sense. He goes, what is this? How am I supposed to? I can't know anything about this. All of a sudden, he goes, wait a second. That's the lake over. That's the Lover's Lake or whatever. And I was like, oh, that was beautiful. That was awesome. He goes, I know that's Lover's Lake, whatever. And he goes, and then this must be over here. I thought that was terrific. I thought that was really, really brilliant. I thought that was great. And like between him figuring out the lay of the town through the things and Will having these little psychic moments, that's how they find Hopper. I thought that was really well done. Like it was a combination of Will's visions and him with his knowledge of whatever. That was very well played out.
Agreed. And Aston, I loved the way Aston played it. I love how, as the series progressed, he was still playing it as a normal guy, but every once in a while you'd think to yourself, is he? Is this real? I love that they played with that expectation.
Yes.
Love that they played with that expectation. And
absolutely.
Was heartbroken. I knew it was coming. Absolutely positively knew it was coming. But still was heartbroken when he died.
I wasn't sure. I honestly was not sure. And I mean, there was a part of me that was thinking, like, all the newbies in this season are going to be dead by the last one, so we can start back to normal or whatever. I wasn't positive. I mean, I do feel like there's something going on. They do sort of toy with this tension between Joyce and Hopper. Mm-hmm. That I kind of felt like I did say to myself, I wouldn't be surprised if they freed her up to go with Hopper in another season or something or other. But yeah, I wasn't positive that Bob was not going to make it, but I wasn't convinced he would either. So yeah, I know what you're saying. But yeah, it was really heartbreaking when he was the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah. By the way, I have a personal theory. I still say that Will is Hopper's kid.
Will is Hopper's kid. It's possible.
Do you remember us?
What about us? Do you remember us, Ray?
Please.
You hurt Mama.
Yep, and that's nearly all the new characters that came this season, except for one additional one that we forgot to mention. That would be 8.
Yeah, that whole episode, which a lot of people were kind of not really crazy about.
Well, okay. I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here before I give my own opinion about it. I want you to think about episode 6. Episode 6 ended epically.
Yes.
With the alien style going in to try to get the stuff out, and Will's trying to talk to them, and then finally, like, Will comes back and says, "I'm sorry," and you realize that he was being controlled by the mind flayer.
Yes.
And then, like, all hell is just getting ready to break loose. The entire place is surrounded. The action is about to begin, and the next episode they're in Chicago.
Yes. And frankly, the whole episode reeks of being nothing more than a pilot for a possible spinoff.
Yes, that's really what my problem with it as well.
Yeah. But yes, I did have the feeling, I said, you know what? Had they done this maybe 1 or 2 episodes earlier, probably just 1 episode earlier would have been enough. Then you might not have had a break. Like I said, it's such a critical moment for them to just stop and offshoot for that other one. The timing was bad.
Yeah, it was the weakest episode of the season in that respect.
Yeah,
and but that aside, weirdly, I kind of felt like for the character of 11 to really grow, she kind of needed that moment.
Yeah. I mean that whole episode, that whole thing, it was clever. And it was interesting, and it did give 11 a way to grow, and for somebody who's been trapped in this dungeon, this building her entire life, then she gets out, then she goes from one prison to the other, which is the cabin. You can understand why she would want to break out and just go and do her own thing and look for people who are like her, and there was a logic to it. The character of 8 I thought was odd. Because at first I didn't have a problem with it because, she's got this other gift. 11 has this gift and this one has a different gift. Okay, right. But then when you sort of go back and think about what they were doing in that, I kind of wondered, and I think we sort of mentioned this once before, like it started to feel like the New Mutants. Like it was like now, like it was like she was a mutant with a different mutation, with a different power. Okay, all right. I mean, If you think, right, don't think about it too much. But if you stop and think about it, you go, well, wait a second. But anyway,
don't think about it too much. But if you stop and think about it,
right.
It's like it's reaching into Hawkins. If anyone knows how to destroy this thing, it's Will.
So, what did you think, Joe? What's your score? I mean, we could talk a lot more. We haven't even talked about the main characters and their arcs and stuff like that. But we have totally dominated this entire hour talking about the new characters and the medium. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I was kind of back and forth between a 7 and an 8 for this one. I think I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8. Again, I didn't like it as much as the first season, but that's in no way am I saying I disliked it. The first one was a grand slam home run that everything fell into place. This one I just felt like it was a tiny bit clunkier, and they were trying new things. And again, props for trying things that are new. I didn't want just a rehash of the first season all over again. So thank you for trying new stuff, and good on them for another solid season. The first one was an A+. This one was a solid B+, A- effort. To give us more of the first one. Everything was good, and again, there was at no point was I bored, even that one random episode. And again, I'm looking forward to season 3 or Stranger Things 3. So yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.
All right, well, that's exactly what I gave it. I really did enjoy the first season a lot, and I felt that they managed to expand and managed to do it in a proper way. I felt like the characters all evolved in seemingly natural ways. I love the evolution of Steve. I'm going to just say it over and over again. I love the evolution of Steve Harrington from this, Mr. Preppy, popular guy to basically the second mother to all the kids.
Yeah.
Right. down to helping Dustin get ready for the frickin' snowball. And God, that was great. Adorable. That was adorable.
Absolutely was. And that's the thing too. Again, I remember the last season too. One of the things I really like about, again, this method of storytelling, the episodic, long form film, whatever. When you get to the finale, like the finale doesn't happen 5 minutes before the credits roll. You know, here you get the finale and you still get a good little stretch of where these characters end up and how we sort of sum up and see where everybody leaves off or whatever. So yeah, you get to take a little time with that dance, or this one ends up with this one and this one goes with that one, and we can take a breath now and relax, and everyone can just sort of settle into a nice closing to the story.
Absolutely, 100%. It made it that much more poignant to the audience because of everything that they've gone through.
Exactly.
Even down to Nancy dancing with Dustin was such a nice little moment, because that like called back to the first season when Dustin kind of was all, "Hey, Nancy."
Right. Yeah. There's a little crush. Right. There's a little crush on Steve's sister. It's great. Yeah.
Oh, and P.S. Dustin and Nancy have more chemistry than Jonathan and Nancy. Just saying.
Well, hey, season 3 is coming.
All right,
so,
Joe. Who asked you?
My Who Asked You. Okay. The part when Billy shows up at the Wheeler house and catches Mrs. Wheeler just out of the bathtub. And the flirting, I don't even think flirting is even the right word. There was a whole, this to me was like the first paragraph of Dear Penthouse Forum. It was that sleazy and creepy, and I kind of just felt like that was the cringiest thing that happened in the entire season. There was something about that was so off-putting. It was like, again, it's not even that Billy's flirting. It's the fact that the mother is loving it so much. I mean, I thought she was going to drop the robe at one point. It was getting, and that scene took a long time, by the way. That felt like a 5-minute long part. So it was at some point I'm like, can we please just move on? It was just creeping the hell out of me. All right, you quick. Let me get that out of my head. Who asked you?
Jesus Christ, the stereotypical frickin' 80s people that surrounded 8, but more like the Warriors than like
you took the words out of my mouth.
Street gang,
Yeah, I mean the guy with the guy with the perfectly done mohawk that never really kind of got messed up. I mean, that was an example of I kind of felt like in the rest of Stranger Things, you'd have a guy who tried to have the mohawk, but it's flopping all over and not working. Right. And here, it didn't budge.
It cringed the hell out of me. I kind of felt like none of these characters just feel like a checkbox. It's like marketing says we should have this type of character, and marketing says we should have this type of character.
Right, exactly. Like, this is popular in the 80s, right? How about for your consideration, my friend?
Oh, God, this is kind of almost like shooting fish in a barrel. They have a really good cast. I mean, the entire cast is really, really good. This season, I'm going to point out Sean Astin, because he broke my heart. Yeah. And he did it so beautifully. And he still managed to make me doubt that he was actually, right up until the point that he died, I still was like, oh, there's going to be the twist with him. It's like, not the twist I was thinking was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right up to the point, and that's just great writing. That's great acting, and
right. When you're that invested in that character that you really hated to see him go. I agree with you.
And more credit to both the writing and Mr. Sean Astin's acting was how they're getting ready for the snowball, and they're just kind of panning around the buyer's house, and all you see is this drawing that Will did, Bob the superhero. And you're just like, It's a damn drawing.
Totally.
How about you?
Ladies and gentlemen, for your consideration, I present you Steve Harrington's hair.
Fabergé. What? It's Fabergé Organics. Use the shampoo and the conditioner, and when your hair is damp, it's not wet, okay? When it's damp, you do 4 puffs of the Farrah Fawcett spray.
Best hair ever.
His hair is pretty magnificent, isn't it?
You know what's funny about it too is, honestly, it's funny because again, you have to be of a certain age to understand this. Hair was a big deal in the 80s.
Oh my God.
A guy with really good hair could do pretty well.
It was an art form. It was really, really an art form.
It really was. I mean, if you had that kind of head of hair, you could. Oh my God, forget it. You were made in the shade. And again, the scene where he gives Dustin the secret to his hair. Oh my God, was classic. It was that was great.
Absolutely beautiful. And,
it really was.
And the way the actor played it, the way Joe Carey played it with his I am literally telling you the most embarrassing thing that I ever have in my life.
Right. Right. If you tell anybody that, I swear I'm going to kick your ass. But as much as I'm kind of playing around and joking about the hair, it actually does sort of become a story element again, because when he gives Dustin the secret, and then by the end, when he's driving Dustin and dropping him off at the dance, and the hair is done up. There was that kind of older brother, younger brother kind of bond going on that he dropped him off with his hairdo. It was great.
Oh God, yes. All right, that's an awesome for your consideration. I can't argue that. It's ridiculous, but it's absolutely 100% true.
You still have that bat?
Bat? What bat?
One with the nails.
Honestly, we could have easily done 2 episodes on a TV show. We did the 1 episode on Westworld, we did an episode on the first season, and each time I keep saying it's you know what? There's so much that we could discuss with this. I feel like we didn't really do it justice. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's a 1-hour format for you, ladies and gentlemen. And we're gonna try to stick with it. We don't always get there. But next week.
Next week is gonna be interesting.
We're going to go into one of Joe's top movies for 2017, and one I've been itching to see.
And I'm guessing you have not seen it yet, right?
No, I'm going to be seeing it this weekend. The Darren Aronofsky directed Mother.
I will be very interested to see how you react to it. If you enjoy it the way I did, or if you think it is, because it's funny because I hear, some people think it's a work of art. Some people think I've heard the expression, it's so far up its own ass it comes back out again or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
So it's is it a work of art? Is it pretentious? We will discuss it.
We will. I probably will have no idea what's happening in it, but we'll give it a try. Aronofsky films usually are either hey, in your face, or whoa, where the hell did you go?
Yeah. And by the way, before we go, one last little request. If you are listening to this podcast, if you are enjoying this podcast, please spread the word. Please give us a review, a like on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever medium you use for podcasting. How about a shout out? We could kind of use it.
Yes, please. Somebody that's not our friends and family, because they've already complimented us.
But we'll take friends and family too.
Yeah, that's true. We could definitely use some friends and family to actually spend the time to review. Well, so then until next week, Mr. Joe. Thank you, sir.
See you next time. Good episode. Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. And be sure to check out the Reviews Without Remorse channel on YouTube and VidMe for spoiler-free reviews of new releases, as well as in-depth discussions of current and classic cinema. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a patron. You can find our page at patreon.com. As little as $1 a month goes a long way. All clips in this podcast are used for commentary and critique, and is considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.